Good morning. It may not be morning when you're watching this, but welcome to the Modern Skein podcast. It is episode 150. Oh, crap.
You know, one of these days I'm going to learn to look myself so I can help prompt you.
And I think I think this one will be 157.
Okay.
Because I think the last one was actually 156.
That sounds about right to me.
I think so. I think I'm right.
I think you are.
We'll see.
If not, we're both wrong. So
exactly.
At least we're together.
It's either 156 or 157. It should be 158.
No.
Welcome to the podcast and the many shenanigans that take place on the podcast. My name is Sharon Graff, and I am the owner of the Modern Skein, which is a yarn shop here in Conroe, Texas. I remember.
Good for you.
I know. And you are?
I am Cathie. I am the cohort at the Modern Skein. I usually say co-host, but, you know, I think I'm going to be probably instigating some shenanigans today. So cohort fits today.
Yeah. And running around in the background, as you might have just seen the blur, is Surrey.
Yes. I understand she was quite entertaining on the last episode,
yes,
according to some people that told me.
Stole the show and was playing with her toys.
Yes.
Yes. So, welcome. Do you have a finished object?
So, no, but I have decided that I'm going to coin a new term for knitting.
This is your new word.
You know, knitters have, and I'm sure crocheters too, have all kinds of abbreviations that we like to toss around, you know, FOs and whips and frog and all things. So what I have to show you today is an NFO. Now, what you might ask is an NFO? Well, an NFO is a nearly finished object.
Okay, you need to do the facial effects with that one.
Nearly finished object. Because, quite honestly, I just wore out on that 1x1 ribbing yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to get it finished in time to block it and show it as an FO, but instead it's an NFO. And that is my toasted tea in the Yorkshire fingering.
Fabulous.
Which will be launching in, a couple of weeks? Not quite 2 weeks?
Not quite 2 weeks.
On the 28th of March.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for that fabulousness coming, because this yarn is, wow.
Yeah.
Like all the Yorkshire bases, it's a dream to knit with. Yes. I will say that. It is very enjoyable. And a few people who have gotten a sneak peek have said that they were surprised at how, what would you say? It has a bit of a halo, I guess, which, of course, you don't find in a superwash fingering weight yarn, but it just adds to the luxuriousness, I think.
Well, and that's interesting that you mentioned halo, because I feel like the fingering weight has a halo. The sport weight has a tiniest bit of a halo, and I don't find that the DK or the worsted have a halo, personally, when I've knit with them.
I think that probably has to do with the fact of they are different numbers of plies.
True.
And so the twist, I think, affects that. So the fingering is a 2-ply yarn, and so it's the fibers are twisted a little bit, I guess, looser. I mean, it's not like the twist itself is loosey-goosey, but it's just there's not enough binding everything together, I think, which allows that halo.
And it's surface area. It's just 2 versus 6 or something like that.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct.
Makes sense.
So, yes.
Well, that's
an NFO.
An NFO. Okay, we'll have to make up a new category on the show notes.
Right.
And did you say who it was by?
Oh, I did not. So the toasted tea is by Rebecca Clow. Honestly, if you are anywhere around other knitters or on Ravelry or whatever, you've probably heard of the Tulsa tee because it has become a very popular pattern. And the reason it has is because it's a classic basic pattern that lends itself to so much personalization, and which is one reason why I love it.
Well, it not only lends itself to personalization, and because I feel there's a lot of other patterns that do as well, but the nice thing about Rebecca is she does give you a pretty extensive document on if you do want to modify it, here's some suggestions on how or what to modify.
Right.
So
Correct.
if you're like, I think I want to, but I've never strayed from a pattern and it feels a little illegal to do that, you know what? I've had people tell me that before.
It's illegal.
You know, it's like, I have to follow the rules. It's like, so she gives you kind of some guidelines on how to break the rules, if you will, on how to add eyelets, how to add stripes, how to make it long sleeve or short sleeve.
And not only that, but there are, in the pattern itself, there's a DK version and a fingering weight version, so you don't have to do any complicated math or try to figure out things.
You don't have to buy a second pattern. It's all included in the
all
one.
included.
So
yeah,
that's really nice.
I think it's, to me, it's one of those staple patterns. I think that everybody needs to have in their pattern library.
Well, and I think it is suitable, especially at the DK weight. I think it's suitable for a first-time sweater.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
I know.
I definitely guarantee that.
I know last year when we did the Tulsa knit along, which was the Tulsa tee,
right?
We had several people that did it as their first sweater.
Correct.
And thoroughly enjoyed it and have now moved on to knit multiples. In fact, honestly, other than me, I don't know of anyone who hasn't knit at least two. Well,
right?
Becky hasn't knit a second one yet, but she's got yarn for it, I think. That's what she was telling me.
Okay. So she has plans in the works.
She has plans, yeah.
Yes.
So.
And I did count up. This is my fifth, not counting the Tulsa tank, which is a separate pattern.
That is a separate pattern.
Yes. Yeah. So do you have any finished objects? Do you have any NFOs, or do you just have some FOs? Or what is your status, Sharon?
What's my status? That is, yeah, that's, remember when Facebook used to have it would be like your name and it was is, and then you would write the thing? You couldn't just like write whatever you wanted. It was Sharon Graff is feeling
Oh, I know.
You know, or whatever.
I know. Yes.
Yes.
They sort of pre-programmed
it in. Yes. Well, I'm feeling like I have a finished object.
Oh, yay.
So I finished my second Gridscapes Cowl. This pattern is going to release next week. I think it's scheduled on Ravelry to release on the 27th, so the day before the Yorkshire launch. So I have designed this in Yorkshire worsted, which is the new base, or
one of the two
new bases from Red Stag.
I love it.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. So it's a very simple pattern in that it is just basically a 2x2 color work, but you have different ways you change the colors to give it that unique look. And it is using 3 colors, but it's only ever 2 colors in a row. So if you're just starting color work, this is a great pattern for you to test it out, work on your tension. One of the testers had done only one other color work project in the past, and he was able to, well, he did the hat, but he did 2 of them and had great success with his getting his tension and everything else.
What about the yarn requirements for this? I know you said it was the Yorkshire worsted, but how much do you need for that?
So here's the math. We mathed it.
Sounds like Lorraine was involved in this.
Lorraine was involved. Don't panic if you think I was solely responsible for the math. But so there's 2 patterns coming out. So there's the Gridscapes Cowl and the Gridscapes hat.
Okay.
It is designed for you to be able to use, because you have a main color, color 1, and color 2. So it's designed for you to have your main color in the cowl or the hat, either one, your color 1 and color 2, and then you reverse those for the next project. So then color 1 becomes your main color, color 2 is color 1, and color Parker. I'm saying this wrong.
Yeah. Whoops, we're
Okay.
mathing.
We're-
1, 2,
we're-
3.
Your main color gets inverted, so switch it out. I have it worded much nicer in the pattern. Anyway, 3 skeins is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So in this case, I have a skein of natural, I have a skein of Aberdeenshire, and a skein of Moray Firth. On my hat, the main color was natural.
Okay.
The color 1 was Aberdeen, and color 2, C1 and C2, because it's contrast color, was the Moray Firth. Then for the cowl, I made my main color Moray Firth, and the old main color from the other pattern was color 2, contrast color 2.
Okay.
Does that make more sense? Hopefully everyone's as clear as mud.
It's in the pattern.
It's in the pattern.
It's in the pattern.
So what I'm trying to say is you can get the hat and the cowl out of 3 skeins of yarn
Okay.
without having to buy a secondary. Now, provided you don't add additional length to the hat and make it super duper slouchy, or to the cowl, and you get relatively close to the gauge. There's those caveats.
Okay.
But I think it's easy enough, and not everyone tested with Yorkshire as well. So we had one tester use, it was so cool. She used Dream State as, I think, contrast color 1 was Dream State, and that was the only Spincycle she used, and then it was just solids. And then another one used Shelter. Another one used Shelter for some of her colors, but then another one she held like a DK and a mohair for contrast color 2, which was really cool. So lots of different options out there for you. Everyone's looks great. And I'm super pleased. So there's also going to be, you can buy just the cowl or just the hat, but if you put both, if you purchase both either at the same time or separately, I have it, fingers crossed, I have Ravelry set up
the technology.
This way.
Right.
That you will get them at a bundled price, cheaper
Okay.
than buying separately. Should work.
Okay.
What that price
All
is,
right.
I don't remember because I slept since doing that.
Well,
But,
and
you
I'm
know.
going to put a plug in here, of course, for Red Stag Fiber, that if you're curious and you want to try out the worsted before you invest in, say, a sweater's quantity or something, this is an excellent way to do it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Because this yarn is so good. It's so
It really is. We're prejudiced, but we're not exaggerating.
No, because
So-
like if this was some other brand, I'd still be all hog wild about it.
Definitely.
You know, this yarn is just such a good yarn. So, love it. It's
Yay.
Gridscapes Cowl and Gridscapes Hat, available on Ravelry on the 27th of March. That is my only FO.
Well, then I don't feel so bad because
Yes.
yours
And-
is definitely a little bit smaller than mine.
Well, and that
I have to give
was-
myself some kind of credit here.
Definitely. That was power knit to finish on Friday because I was like, I have to get
I have
something
to
done.
do. I tried to power through mine and just gave out.
Okay, I did not have a lot of knitting time last week.
Really?
Shocker.
Amazing.
No, I didn't.
Kind of knowing what your schedule was like and the way things were in the shop, I'm
Yeah.
not surprised.
So busy week in the shop, of course. I was pulling a little extra because we had, spring
It's
break,
spring break.
and everything
It was
else.
spring break
It was
here.
spring break, yeah. And then because it was also spring break, I feel like it culminated with all of our nieces having some sort of games. So basketball games, and yesterday was volleyball. It was 2 days of volleyball tournaments.
2 days of volleyball tournaments?
I mean, they won second in gold. So
Well,
It was
wonderful.
fabulous. But yeah, and then it was also my brother-in-law's birthday yesterday, so we went out.
I forgot
for
about that one. Yes,
Yeah.
I knew that was
And
coming
so it's
up.
just like thing after thing after thing, and then the time change kind of made me exhausted. So
It's funny what one little hour could
1
do to
hour.
us. I know.
was
And yet,
idiotic.
here's what I don't understand, okay? I laugh at people, but it's really hit me harder this time. I laugh at people because I've traveled so much in my life.
Oh, no.
And I have trained myself how to avoid jet lag.
Exactly. Me too.
No.
But it's like this is worse than jet lag.
Yes.
Well, I take that back. I had one experience where jet lag was murderous.
Well, and so did I my first time, and that's what convinced me I'm going to figure out a way not to do this ever again.
First time. I actually, like, this was when Josh and I went to Aberdeen.
Oh, okay.
But I did not follow my own advice.
But
it was also my first time going that far north in the winter.
Okay.
And so the 3 p.m. getting dark
really
totally
threw you.
screwed
So
me
that,
up.
along with time changes, when you've got those whole time of darkness change,
Yes.
I guess is the only way to say it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's affecting me more now because I'm a person that goes to bed early, as anybody will attest. You know, I mean, if I make it till 9 o'clock, I'm usually looking like the dead in the headlights. But for some reason, when it's still light outside, even though I have a perfectly dark bedroom, it's like, do I really want to go to bed right now?
Yeah.
Now, I will get over that rather quickly. I would say probably by the end of this week, I will be, I don't care what it looks like outside, but it is affecting me a little bit.
You'll need to know that it's getting dark, not like at 10 p.m.
No.
But at 7:30 is when it gets dark.
Yes.
So just so you know.
Just so you know.
I also have that problem when it's like starting to get dark at like say 9:30
Oh, yes.
at night.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm like, but I usually just go to bed and read and fall asleep anyway.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it doesn't bother me. Okay.
Well, back to our knitting.
Back
so let's talk about whips now.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything as a whip. A nearly work in progress? I don't think that. No, I don't think so.
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, we'll stick with the standard whip definition here.
Yes, it's a work in progress.
And get
Fixing
those
a drop stitch.
get those stitches
Pardon me.
picked back up. Pardon me while I fix this right quick.
Hold, please. Okay,
I found
share
myself
this
doing that this morning.
funny story. So, I've been teaching a sweater series on Saturday mornings, and it's just about wrapped up. And so we were talking. This last session was mostly like, okay, what are your questions, concerns, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And so I'm just, during the class, I'm just knitting, because I'm on the body, I'm knitting in the round, I'm trying to catch up. You know.
Yeah,
and
I know. There's that guilty feeling when
guilty.
the teacher's behind the students.
Exactly. And so then, I looked down, and like, I'll show it on, I don't have it, but like, I dropped a stitch like way down here.
Oh,
but
like,
I had like made up the stitch, so it wasn't closed off.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
much better if you
Much better.
if you make it up and then you've got a little room
to
to
fix
pick
it.
that back up.
So I was like, okay, do y'all want to see? Because they're all relatively newish knitters. It's first time doing
Right.
sweaters and everything else, or people that have been away from knitting for a long time. And I said, do y'all want to see how I fix this dropped stitch? And they're like, oh, you made a mistake? Yes.
Oh.
I was like, yes, I am human too. Thank you very much. It's fine. But I just thought that was funny. Anyway, I did actually make some good progress. I don't know when, but I don't know when I did this.
I don't know when you did it,
But
you
I
did.
finished a sleeve.
That's looking so good. Let me
There we
see
go.
if I can help you out here.
Ta-da! So this is my balloon sweater by Petite Knit. So
And
I
you've got
have
to look at this is
Yeah.
why it's the balloon.
Yeah.
Because the sleeve.
It's a very exaggerated sleeve, and then a
Yes.
really nice snug long cuff, which I like because then I kind of will push it up and it'll balloon and all the things.
I like it because sometimes I want to fold them over.
Oh,
and
yes.
sometimes I don't, so I have that option.
Yes. So I finished this sleeve and I started on this sleeve.
Okay.
And, I know why I stopped, because then I ran out of yarn. So
Ah,
I need to
well.
wind up a new ball of yarn. But I feel like progress is finally being made on this after this has sat for years. But I don't want to rip it out because I want the
You want
sweater.
it.
I want the sweater. And again, we've talked about this before in a previous episode. Now that it's getting lighter later, I can see better
the darker yarn.
to see at night. and not worry about, it's not, because it's stockinette in the round. I don't need to see my stitches. It's the fact of, did I grab the mohair? Did I grab both strands?
Right.
Is more so what I'm needing to watch what I'm doing. So I'm excited that my goal is to have this finished by LYS Day. Not that I'm going to wear it on LYS Day or anything, but just to have it done
Okay.
then. That's kind of my goal.
Well, sometimes it's helpful to set a deadline
Yes.
for yourself.
Oh, for
or
sure.
A goal line.
It's a goal
Let's
line.
call it a goal line
It's
instead
not
of a deadline.
No,
Yes.
because if I don't reach it, I
the
will
world
have
is
made
not going to come to an end.
No. Will have made progress on it.
Right.
And I can still continue to
Right.
make progress on it. Just like, did I talk about the Ozetta sweater?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know where we were with that.
I don't know where we were with that either, but I'm going to talk just.
Do you want to go into that before we go into this?
Yes, because I want to
Okay.
just talk about it's okay to rip things out.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a good thing.
As y'all may have known, was knitting the Ozetta. That's not the name of it.
I think you talked on the last podcast about how you weren't happy with the yarn you had chosen for this particular pattern.
So, yes, I'm pretty sure I did. So
Yes.
that was the field cardigan. So I did rip that out. I have swatched with 2 other yarns, neither which am I happy with them. I love both of the yarns. They're not for that pattern.
Correct.
So I have come to the conclusion, for me at this time, I haven't found the perfect yarn for that pattern. So I'm not going to, I want that pattern,
But you're not going to push it right now?
but I'm not pushing it.
Okay.
When I find the magical Goldilocks yarn for that pattern, then I will cast it on.
Well, all I know is I think you're going to have a lot of opportunities coming up in the not too distant future to maybe see some
Oh yeah.
potential candidates for that project.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of yarny travel in my future.
Yes.
Okay. So all I'm going to talk about is a little bit of this, that, and that. That's all
Okay.
I've got left. So you want to?
Well, as you can see, I don't have a whole lot.
Well, why don't you talk about
Here.
that, and then I can
But
blitz through
yeah,
some of the other.
then you can blitz through some of this. So, y'all knew that if you've watched the previous episodes that I cast on the Potato Vodka Cardigan by Thea Coleman. And I made a decision that instead of trying to manage my spin cycle so that the fronts would look cohesive once I separated for sleeves, I made the decision that I was going to steek the armholes. Now, Sharon at first just kind of I wouldn't say you laughed at me, but
No, I didn't laugh at you.
The problem was I was trying to figure out how to do. I've steeked before, so it wasn't the actual sticking that was the problem. The problem was the way the pattern is written is that the armhole was staggered. In other words, you bound off so many stitches, and then you came back around, and the next right side row you bound off some more. And
So
I couldn't
it
figure
would
out how. Yeah, so you
create-
get some shaping.
Yeah.
On the armhole. So I was having some difficulty trying to figure that out.
Pause that thought for a hot second. I
Okay.
did the same thing, bottom up, with the Great Gingham.
I knew you did it on one. I couldn't remember which
those
pattern.
armholes.
Yes.
The difference is I didn't have to do math because it was just a straight bind off X amount, and then that's where you join in the thing. So I didn't have. There was no curving of
Correct.
that. It was just a
Correct.
straight line.
And that's what you encounter a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, even if you're doing like a top-down raglan.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, what happens when you put stitches on hold and then you cast on and pick up so many? It's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not shaped. And so the shaping was causing me a little bit of, I wouldn't say confusion, but just trying to figure it out.
Are there sleeves?
Yes.
Okay, because I was just looking at the other whips at the finished things samples that we have over there, and I'm just thinking everything in my brain that I can think of at this moment that has that staggered is either a set-in sleeve or sleeveless. And so it just like the Thea has that curve, and it's
Right.
It's typical, I think, on sleeveless to have that
I think so
shaping.
too. I think it makes more sense if you're talking
Yeah.
about a tank or a vest where you want that curve coming up. This may just be her preferred way of doing it. Well, to make the long story even longer, I decided, well, that's okay. I'll just, every other row, I'll bind off and I'll just join those stitches into my steek. Well, that wasn't working exactly like I had hoped, but I was thinking, well, I can probably make this work once the steek is cut and I start folding it back. Well, I got about 8 rows in and realized that I was so concentrating on this steek of this armhole that I completely forgot I was supposed to do a V-neck shaping on the neckline. So I ripped back to the point of the original stitch count cast off or bind off, and instead of binding them off, I put those stitches on hold. So I've used a little knitting cord here, and I've got 8 stitches on hold here. Well, the goal was to have, because it was actually knit separate, the goal was to have 10 bind off stitches at the end on each front and 10 on each back.
Okay.
So
20.
So 20 in total. So what I decided to do instead was, as I was working my way up the rows, instead of binding those stitches off, I just began a regular pattern of decreases. So I would slip, slip, knit on one side and knit 2 together on the other.
Right here.
So what I've got is
I like that.
the shaping will remain. It's not exactly like her shaping, but I ended up down to, so that I had the correct number of stitches on my fronts and on my back.
Well, and because it's going to be a steek and you will be picking up for a sleeve, you'll never know that your decrease is different than hers.
No,
you know.
and if you can, I don't know if it shows up. This is the wrong side of the. No, this is the right side. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but the steek never changes the number of stitches, but you can see that it's kind of got an angle to it, and that's where those decreases are. So once the steek gets cut and folded back, I think it's going to work out just perfectly.
You will.
And I've got my neckline decreases going properly now too. So that's another good thing. So it's not going to be too terribly long before I get to the point of, I'll probably be working on sleeves, maybe have at least one sleeve finished by the next podcast. Who knows? We'll see. But I am enjoying this knit. Again, this is the Potato Vodka Cardigan by Thea Coleman. And it is, there's something about this stitch pattern that is just extremely satisfying. And if you're a little bit afraid of color work, and you want to use something with a Spincycle so you get that shifting color, this is a great pattern because you're only using one strand of yarn for the rows. In other words, you go across and back. It's like a mosaic, but you're not slipping that many stitches. Okay. You're only slipping every 4th stitch.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it makes a great beginning pattern. And the fact that it's got some texture to it, which are just knits and pearls, sort of hides any messiness.
Yeah, it's
to
really
it.
Cute.
So I'm really happy with it. So that is
mention your yarn.
One whip. Oh, the yarn I'm using, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is the New Yorkshire worsted in the colorway Brick Tavern. As my, no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
Say, no.
This is Yorkshire DK in the colorway Brick Tavern. We will have that color also on the worsted. And then my Spincycle is Castaway.
And she did substitute dyed in the wool.
I did substitute dyed in the wool instead of Dream State like it calls for in the pattern. I did swatch to make sure that I was going to like the effect, and I do, and I'm not having any trouble meeting gauge, and I really like it.
Yeah.
The fabric may not be as heavy and dense as she originally intended, but it's perfect for me.
Yeah.
So, there's my whip.
Okay. So
I have other whips, but I haven't done anything on them, so I didn't bring them.
I will power through a couple whips. I did actually work on this.
Oh, the through lines. My through lines would
Yes.
still be right down here because I think I managed to get in another maybe 2 repeats, and that's all.
So I think yesterday I was like right here, and I got through like 2 of the repeats.
Okay.
I am getting close.
Are you getting close to the point
to
of
that
you're going to
point
start?
of- yeah, I think I'm 20 stitches away maybe.
Oh, okay.
So I'm still loving it.
I love it too. It's a
do.
great pattern. And I want to get back
And
on it because it's also very enjoyable.
You can see I'm in the spot now where the Spincycle's gotten a bit darker, and you can kind of see some more of that transition. I just love it. I do.
I do too.
I'm enjoying it. So again, it's Through Lines by Andrea Mowry. My main color is, it's not all. Main color is Kelbourne Woolens Camper in Chestnut. Then the Through Lines is Camper in Oatmeal. And then my Spincycle is the colorway House Blend on Dyed in the Wool, which a little birdie told me it's shipped.
Yay. So hopefully arriving soon in the shop.
Yes, I would say
Of course, it all depends on shipping because
depends on
we're still
shipping.
having a lot of issues here with shipping. We don't even want to talk. We don't even want to go there. We don't even want to talk about
no,
it because
I
it's
don't want to
ridiculous.
talk about it. But we should have it soon. So
Yes.
if you want to be first in the know, honestly, go onto the website and find the colorway that you're looking for and hit notify me and sign up for the notification. That is who gets absolute first dibs on
Right.
it, because once we put it in the system, you get sent an email right away that says this is back in stock. So if you act real quickly, you can secure it. Usually then Instagram, because I get all excited and can't
Show
be
it on the
bothered,
live.
and I do it on the live or go live
Right.
or something like that. So
Because it's exciting.
Yes,
it's
it's
always
exciting.
exciting when the Spincycle comes in.
yes, and we're gonna get the new color snow cone. And a restock of Stay Ready.
Of course. Yay.
I might share it.
You know, it's a good thing you don't work for Bluebell.
Yeah, I know.
If for those of you who are not from around Texas, we have Bluebell ice cream, and their
Best.
slogan for years has always been, "We eat all we can and then sell the rest."
And that is, I buy all I can and sell the leftovers to you.
All right, so you've got some more whips
I
here.
do. So let's talk about this. This is my outline raglan by Jessie Maed. And what is going on?
What is going on? Something's caught.
Something is.
Oh, you've got your
there we
needles
go.
stuck through your
Stuck through
stitches
it.
there.
Okay.
Okay.
Ta-da! So I ended up power knitting through a lot of this because this was only on the, like right here when this was last shown. But okay, here's why. It's not just knit in the round, because every other row you're doing this little
Oh, you've got that
little
the detailing.
detail, yeah.
Okay.
For lack of a better word, that will have my drop stitch in the ditch. Drop stitch in the ditch.
Okay.
And so it's not just boring.
It's not just boring and mindless because you're
you
like,
have to do
oh,
something every
I'm
other
gonna
round."
do something here.
Yeah,
It's
and
almost. It looks to me like, and I don't want to give away the pattern, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the continuation of the raglan.
I mean, kind of.
So
you
you're
are
sort of-
but you're. I mean, instead of building out stitches, now obviously we're
Yes. Now you're
coming
in.
but we're also not changing the amount of stitches on the needle. So we're having to
Okay,
be mindful of
okay.
that. But yes, it's basically that. And so then that drop stitch, once we drop it, will curve all the way in and then back up the raglan.
That's going to be so
It's
cute.
going to be so cute. So I'm enjoying it. This is Undine DK from Ritual Dyes, which we still have some. It's been you can kind of see it over there. You can see
Yes.
it's been a hot seller because we have lots of empty pegs.
And my color got away again.
Oh no.
I know.
So
It's
did
my own
Connie's.
fault.
So did Connie's.
Oh, Connie and I will have to commiserate together.
Yes. And that is something I will say, because of how ritual dye shipments work, not too dissimilar. I mean, it's different than Spincycle, but their shipments are on a quarterly basis. So once we're out, we won't get any more in until the next quarter, which...
That came in
June?
February.
Yeah, but it came a little early because it should have arrived in
Yeah.
March. It should have arrived now.
That was right at the end of February.
Right at the end of February.
Okay.
And so
June probably.
June is probably when we'll get more Undine. So if you see something you like, I recommend going ahead and grabbing it.
I won't miss out the second time.
No, because like I said, our next one won't be until June. And so I know some of you guys will be like, well, the summer passed. Well, it hasn't passed here, but we'll be just starting. Technically, just starting summer too, but that's besides
As
the
far
point.
as I'm concerned, by June, we're in the middle of summer, which lasts until November.
You're not
The middle of
wrong.
summer. The
You're
middle
not
of summer.
wrong. You're not wrong.
It'll last that long. Yeah.
But highly recommend snagging some Undine fingering or DK. I really love it. It's so good. It is a cotton linen blend, 60-40%. It's an organic cotton. It softens as you work with it. It
And then it
softens up
softens
even more.
Yes.
And like I've done the Hawthorne tank, I've done the Mira sweater. This will be the outline sweater, and I suppose we can just roll.
Are
right
we going to
in.
go into new cast-ons?
Yeah, this was
Because
technically
this
not
is,
cast
I
on.
think this is a new cast-on
This
for
is
you,
a new
maybe.
cast on or hook on.
Hook on?
So we're now a crochet podcast.
Okay. That's okay.
We are off and
we,
on.
We do
Oh,
crochet too.
We're multi-craftual.
Yes.
So this is the start of the Tropez sweater by Susanne Muller, right?
Oh, okay.
Right? I'm 99.9%.
I didn't realize that
positive.
was her pattern.
I think so.
Okay. I like her pattern.
I know. And so this is going to be just the most fun summer granny square-ish kind of, she calls it a granny stitch. It's basically like a granny square stitch. And I mean, I'm not going to give the pattern away, but basically I'm just making, this is the back, which is a rectangle. The sleeves are going to be rectangles. The front has shaping and, you know, then there's certain seaming and everything. But it's going to be so cute.
I'm really liking the looks of that.
And I like the sweater, the color. As you notice, I'm wearing color today because I don't want to get pinched at St. Patrick's Day. And two,
I have on green socks. I'm not showing my feet.
you say, swing them on up here.
I think I'll pass on showing my feet, but I do have on green socks because I don't really have anything green, and Connie's going to think I'm a heretic.
Yeah. So my summer alter ego is very different than my beige and black alter ego of winter. And so I wear color during the summer, at least in small spurts.
That is going to be so cute over a tank top.
Yes, exactly. So not over a black or beige tank top, but yes.
Well, you don't want to compete.
You
don't want to compete with it.
But yes, over like a tank top with some linen pants. That's going to be my new uniform.
I love it.
I
have a hard time doing crochet. I have crocheted.
I do too.
Crochet was my first yarn craft.
Mine as well.
And it has to do with arthritis in my thumbs. And the funny thing about it is it's not holding the hook and making the stitches. It's actually holding the fabric while I'm working through the project.
Mine is the hook.
Yours is the hook. So, that said, I will probably be dragging out my crochet pattern that's going on its third year, and I'm determined to finish it this year. And that will be seen on the next
Yeah, I was about to say, you
podcast.
should bring that next time.
Yes, I will bring that next time.
So that being...
I want to do this.
Yeah, I totally could have whipped probably this entire back piece out and started on the front. However, I wanted to be able to function and still knit and crochet without being in a brace.
Yes.
So for me, crocheting, the way I crochet, because I crochet, not this way, but I crochet
dinner knife. That's
dinner
what
knife.
I call the
Yes,
dinner knife.
I don't do this one, which I can't figure out.
That's
Right?
the pencil.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can't. That blows my brain. And
But you have problems with your wrist, right?
Nope.
More so?
My
Oh, is it your thumb too?
It's the thumb. It's
okay.
right here.
Yes.
Right here. But I will spare y'all. I can dislocate my thumb. And
So you've got joint
so
issues.
I have got joint issues, and apparently it's hereditary because everybody on that side of the family can do the same thing. And we all just pop out our thumbs, and it's grosses people out. So again, sparing y'all that scene because I did it one time in the store because it doesn't bother me. It doesn't. I just don't think anything of it, and I did it in the store, and I thought the person was gonna pass.
Okay.
And I was like, sorry. Yeah. Why don't you share? Oh well. Why don't we end on that?
Okay.
Note as far as
We'll-
whip.
okay,
So I'm
that's
gonna talk
fine.
about one last thing because it's not really. I mean, it's a whip. It's the sweater I'm doing for this class, and I'm also going to be filming a YouTube tutorial for this as well. So this is the No Frills by Petite Knit. I did a little bit on it, separating for sleeves. This is a great first sweater pattern as well. I know a lot of people, it's gotten a bad rap because of sizing. It doesn't go up like her other patterns. Yes, this was one of her very first patterns, and it was a smaller size range. She has other patterns very similar, like the Monday sweater, and that also have raglan. I think the Louvre sweater, same shape and everything. Large. I think both Louvre I know is DK. Monday might be a little bit heavier. Huge sizing. So if No Frills is not going to accommodate you with the amount of ease, pick one of the other ones. It's an older pattern. She hasn't updated it.
Right. I do understand that she is in the process of updating a lot of
I've
her
seen
patterns.
a lot of
but
them get
people,
updated.
That takes a while. It's not easy to do. It requires a lot of intense thinking, math, and making sure that everything still works.
Make it bigger.
Just say, "Oh, we'll just add 6 more stitches." It doesn't work that way.
No.
So
and not if you want a sweater that fits. Just saying. So anyway, that's beside the point. I don't really have anything to say about this sweater. I don't. It's a basic sweater. I love it. It's great. I'm using Scout in Oatmeal. Yeah.
Because it's beige.
Okay. Everyone's making fun
Everybody's
of me.
going to tease me about blue.
My light beige.
Yes. Your medium beige.
beige.
Where's your
My
through
through
lines?
lines. I threw it away. This is
You didn't throw
dark.
it away.
I threw it away.
It's more of a darker beige.
Dark brown with beige. I had something else. I had another one. Oh, I had the rye. I haven't cast it on, but I have the rye yarn spun up, and so that's dark beige, medium dark beige. They're like, what shade beige you gonna work with?
Well, that's like me in shades of blue, so that's
fine.
okay. That's fine.
It's fine.
Before I get into my new cast on, let me talk about what I'm wearing.
Sure.
I am wearing the Cargill sweater, again by Rebecca Clow. This was the first one of her patterns that I knit. It may be, I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if it's one of the first patterns that she came out with.
It was one of her early
It's
works.
definitely an early one if it was not the first one. So I knit this several years ago, whenever the pattern came out. I believe it was in 2022, using Moondrake, her...
I think the soft sport.
The
maybe?
soft sport. Thank
Yeah.
you. I was trying to think what she called her sport weight yarn. The soft sport. I think the colorway is this blue sage. She still has the color. She still has the color.
Blue sage.
I believe it's blue sage. Anyway, I love this. I love knitting this. I enjoyed the dip stitch pattern, and it's really it's one of my favorite sweaters, all told.
You wear it a lot.
So I do, and it's perfect for today's like today, because I don't know about where you are, but we're going to have like a 45-degree temperature swing today, starting off it was 46 when I took
Yeah.
my little dog out this morning.
Yeah, it was
which is
nippy
for us, and then it's going to get up close to 80.
I think it's
something.
like 80, 81, 82.
Yeah,
which
which
is-
means 85.
Especially if you're in the sun.
Yes.
That's spring.
That's spring here.
That's spring.
Anyway, that being said, what I decided I wanted to do was I wanted to cast on a newly released pattern by Rebecca, which is the Torin scarf. So it also uses the dip stitches, similar to what is in this Cargill sweater pattern. Folks, that's a week's worth of work. Now, why is that a week's worth of work? Because I ripped it out 8, 9, 10 times.
Probably.
I probably ripped it out 4 times over the weekend, last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Brought it into the shop on Tuesday to see if Sharon could tell me why I was ditzy on this thing and wasn't making sense.
She's like, I can't knit. Broken.
I didn't realize Lorraine was going to come in that morning because it's spring break and she's got kids. And but she did. She came in that morning, and all 3 of us were having a very difficult time. It's unfortunate that the pattern was released, and within 24 hours, 2 corrections were made to the pattern. I had already spotted those issues, and that was not a problem for me because I recognized. I think there was a stitch that just said 1 instead of a P1. Okay.
Well, just more grammatical.
Kind of a typo type thing. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any problem with that. I had spotted those long before the corrections came out. I was convinced, because I'd done this whole sweater with the dip stitch, I was convinced that my problem was with the increases, because it's a scarf. It's a what do you call the I guess a triangular?
Yeah, like a.
Because one side stays straight and the other side
You're just increasing
increases.
on one side.
And so I thought, it's my increases that are messing me up because I wasn't getting the pattern. What I was getting was the same pattern on the Cargill. And if you will look, you can see that this instead sort of makes diamond shapes. People, I wasn't getting a diamond shape no matter what I did. Mm-hmm. We went through several iterations of trying to figure this out. Sharon suggested I go home, or I don't even know if I went home, but
I was like,
she said, knit the swatch. And I'm thinking,
just the pattern repeat.
Yeah, the pattern repeat. Knit a swatch with just the pattern repeat.
Because
I thought,
I'm thinking,
okay.
So the pattern, when I was reading it, was written with the, just add, as you increase stitches, add in the pattern when you have the necessary stitches.
Right.
So I'm thinking
Right.
it's just a matter of the brain, all of 3 of our brains are just off on when to start this pattern repeat, because it is alternating. It's not just
straightforward.
which would be really easy to
Right.
figure that out.
Of course, when I started the project, did I swatch? No, I didn't need to swatch. It's a scarf. It's not going to have to fit. And I knew how to do the stitch. Okay, so I didn't swatch. Why should I swatch? I don't need to swatch. I don't need no swatches. Okay, so I did.
So the moral of the story
is if you're having issues, maybe swatch.
Practice.
So I did a swatch. Now, this is not the right weight of yarn or anything else. It didn't matter, because all I was trying to do was I was trying to figure out where this problem was. Well, if you will look here where this little black marker is, okay, on this side, what do the stitches do? Am I pointing to the right way?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not backwards with the camera.
This is the straight.
Anyway, they go straight up like the Cargill.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to go straight up. They were supposed to make little, what would you call those? Diamonds.
So
okay?
you can see she switched and she has the diamonds here. Down here she doesn't.
Right. So what I realized when I did the swatch was that there was a row in the pattern that had the stitches reversed.
Yeah, labeled wrong,
Labeled
reversed.
wrong, reversed, whatever you want to have. So
at the time of filming, which is St. Patrick's Day, so that's March 17th.
Early in the morning.
There hasn't been an errata published to fix that mistake.
Right. It is on row 7 if you're interested in the pattern, and there is a tester who mentioned it in her comments. So, number 1, no, I have like 3 points to make about this. Okay. First point is, if you're having difficulty with something, get somebody else involved in it because they have a different viewpoint. They may see something you're not seeing. How many times have you and I have bounced things off in the past where it's like, well, you didn't read this part. Oh, well, yes, because I thought I was just motoring on.
Exactly.
So check with somebody else, get their opinion on it. Second thing is, do a swatch of maybe just that section. Maybe you're not swatching to get gauge. Maybe you're not swatching to determine what size to knit. And you think, yes, I don't need no stinking swatches. Well, it might help you identify where your problem is.
Especially if you're working with, like this, a stitch pattern that you're unfamiliar with, or
that you're semi-familiar with, but it's not working out for you.
Sometimes that's been the biggest issues I've had with patterns. Is patterns that I think I know
what you're doing and
what I'm doing, and then I screw it up royally because it's either just a little bit different, or it's same but not same.
Same but not same.
You know, just little things like that. Honestly,
this is why I don't test knit, because I have a bad habit of thinking I know what comes next, so I don't need to read this. You know.
Yeah.
The third thing I'm going to say is, if you're having an issue, look through the project pages and look at the projects that have been done with comments. The ones that have project notes, and pay attention to them, because I'd read that project note before I ever started the pattern, but out of my head, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
I could have saved myself a lot of time and trouble and pondering and trying to figure this out if I had simply read that one line in the project notes.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say I'm the first to usually ignore the projects. Just saying.
Just because.
Right. I know we have the most amazing people in this shop, and there's a few of these ladies that come in here, and they are so diligent about researching their project before they cast on.
Yes.
And they will go through, I swear, every single project page and look at the notes and help them pick out their colors. Like, they just go through it for all these things. They're very analytical people, and I love them to pieces. That's not how my brain works. My brain sees the pattern and wants to do it, and so then I'm like, I don't need to do anything else. Rarely will I look through a pattern page. You know what that gets me is I will find maybe a pattern on Instagram and I'll like it, and then I'll go to Ravelry and I'm like, oh, I don't like it. And so then I'll go to project pages to see if, is it just I don't like how she styled it? Is it that I don't like the yarn it was used in, but I really liked that one on Instagram. Let me go find it again and see, oh, she did it totally different, or she did this, or modified that, or whatnot. That's when I tend to use the project pages more so, but I think in these kind of cases, especially if you think there's maybe an issue, go there first before sending off a
nasty
steaming email to the editor, you know, kind of a thing.
Right.
Or, I mean, not that you have to do that before coming and talking to us if we're who you're going to go to.
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, we have people coming in the shop all the time, and
the amount of people that are like,
they come in and say, I can't do this. What's wrong with this?
Or I have stupid questions. No, you don't. No. Trust me, we've heard everything.
And if we haven't, then we need to. Well, so we need to figure out how to handle it. I get excited
when I haven't heard something before. And I'm like, gosh, I haven't heard this before. This is going to be good. So I'm excited. You know, or seen this issue before. Hey, if you can stump me, I'm excited.
And that's what I try to do. That's one of the reasons I brought it in. It's like, this isn't working, and I bet you can't make it work either. The other thing is what you're saying about so many times I might glance through the project pages to say, I'd really like to make this longer and in a darker color. Did anybody do one, something what similar? Especially on something like maybe a cable or a stitch pattern, I'm not sure. Will that work in dark yarn? Let me see if anybody's done it in something dark so I can kind of get an idea of what to look at. I much prefer the ones with project notes if I am looking for sizing adjustments. Like I normally knit and I go by measurements. Here's another thing I think too many people get hung up on.
Especially
one designer's small, medium, large is not necessarily another designer's small, medium, large. You need to look at the actual measurements. Had an instance of this not too long ago. A lady that's a good friend of mine was going to knit a different pattern by the same designer that she had knit in the past, and she said, I always do an XL. And I said, but wait a minute. XL doesn't mean anything to me. What size chest do you want? What size chest measurement was that XL? Because just as we were talking earlier, as some of these designers start to broaden the range of sizes, an XL may be size 5, where previously it was size 4, as far as if you count through the pattern 1, 2, 3, 4. And so if they add an extra small, that's going to push it one way. If they, it's usually not so much a problem with the other.
Well, even sometimes with numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 makes, that's arbitrary. Totally arbitrary.
I'd kind of rather they use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because then it makes people go and measure.
Well, and I agree with you too because of this. We as women, particularly, I don't think men are quite as hung up on this as we are.
In most of their
That's
stuff.
true, but we get horrified at those letters if they're bigger than what we think we should wear.
Exactly.
And it's mental. It's a perception thing. It's not reality.
Well, and I'll just a little tiny rabbit hole on sizing. Okay, so everybody has different body type. Okay?
Yes.
And so when I've had in the past several women, it's like, well, I measured my bust and let's just throw out numbers. I'm a 40 bust and it's supposed to have, 3 inches of positive ease. And so I knit the 43. I'm doing this because I can do math with these easy numbers.
Which we didn't talk
But it's
about
too
math.
tight across my stomach.
Right.
Okay. Did you measure your stomach?
Right.
Like that's not, I'm not throwing shade or anything like that. If you want your garment to fit, you need to measure your largest part. That may not be your boobs.
Right.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing, Sharon. I am not a busty person.
Me neither.
And when people find out the size that I'm knitting, they're always like, "What? I am broad. My body, my bone structure is broad. I don't care if I
You've
lost
got swimmer
50
shoulders.
pounds, I would still be broad."
Yeah.
And so I have to accommodate that.
Well, and it's like some people carry their weight right here.
Right.
And that's not a problem. So you can make it fit because you're knitting this.
That's right.
You can make it fit the way you want. So I always tell people, do all your measurements. But then it's like if I don't want it to be tight across my stomach or my hips or whatever that thing is.
Or the opposite. I'm big chested, big busted, but I have a narrow waistline. I don't want all this fabric flopping around.
Exactly.
It works both ways.
It works both ways. And especially because I have a lot of ladies who are like, they're very well endowed. Maybe they're carrying their weight in their stomach region, but they have very narrow shoulders or they're very petite up here. Guess what? Especially if a top-down sweater, you can cast on the smaller size.
Yes.
And then increase your stitches to the larger size.
Yes.
And that it sounds stupidly simple, and it kind of is, but don't feel bad that you haven't thought of it because it takes not a background in sewing or anything, but it just takes time and experience
and time and practice.
Practice, yeah.
Yes.
So like we were discussing this in the sweater class, in the pattern there is, because it's designed to be a sweatshirt. And if you think about vintage sweatshirts, they're cut and then they go narrow. If you ever borrowed a men's sweatshirt or a vintage sweatshirt, they're always like right on my hips. Okay,
Yes.
and so she has decreasing. And I was like, okay, all of you ladies, do you want your sweater to go at your hips? And they were all like,
No.
And
Horror.
And I said, great. So we're not going to do this row of decreases. You don't have to. There's no law that says you have to.
Right.
You're just going to continue knitting, no decreasing, no waist shaping, whatever you want to call it. And then one lady was like, I don't even want ribbing to tighten it in. I said, great. Don't go down your needle. Stay at the same needle and just knit your ribbing straight. That's a great way to keep it from sucking in. And then the other lady was like, well, do I have to do ribbing? I said, no. We can do a rolled edge or an I-cord edge. And so we talked about all these different things. Or a garter edge or all these different things. And so she was super excited. And so she was going to do 3/4 length sleeves because that's what she preferred. She wears lots of bangly jewelry. And she's like, I don't want it getting caught. And I said, no,
Well, besides that, if you're wearing the jewelry, you want it to be seen.
You want to show it off, yeah. She has really cute stuff. And so it's like, we're going to do 3/4 length, and she's going to do a rolled hem. And she's like, oh, and I could make the rolled hem match here. I said, absolutely. I showed her another sample that we'd done something similar, a different pattern. And she was so excited because she's going to get the garment that she wants at the end of the day.
Right.
And is it going to look exactly like the pattern? No. But it's going to be what she wants.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing at the end of the day. Sometimes you want that pattern to look exactly like what it did on the model, or, you know,
Right.
that garment, but on you, because you're not the model. It's fine. But sometimes you want it to fit mostly like that, but you want to add your little tweaks to it. And so you can. And now I feel like I've just gone on a tirade on that.
Well, we will continue this tirade because I have made some changes to my Nutsfield cardigan.
Yes.
And I will be bringing that next time, and we will discuss some of the changes I've made and why I made those changes.
That's a good point. So tune in, same time.
There's more to come.
Same bat channel, same bat time, or whatever whatever the saying
I
was.
don't remember.
But we have one more thing to discuss.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But we definitely need to discuss this
Before we totally wrap it up, the new spring issue of Lina magazine has arrived. So if you pre-ordered this, you should already have gotten it from us. This is a really good magazine.
Yes.
Okay, so they're always good. Okay.
Right.
Some are just really good.
It's like chocolate. Mm-hmm. You know, there's good chocolate, and then there's dreamy chocolate.
So,
and this one has just got.
I'll show you the one pattern that has taken the sit and stitch by storm.
I hadn't even seen that one yet.
You hadn't?
No.
Okay, so that pattern, that one is.
I like that. That is cute.
What did she call the name of that one? It's Flecks of Sunshine? So, the name of the pattern?
I believe so.
I think so. Yeah, Flecks of Sunshine. Okay, so it's knit in Linny.
Okay.
Fabulous. Great for this time of year. I'm extremely low in Linny at the moment, and I'm working on getting more in. So, I'm hoping we can have it in by LYS Day. Fingers, toes, crossed, everything. So, what I would recommend, if you're interested, grab the book, because we are getting very low in the book. The pattern's not going to be available separately for at least a year.
Right.
More like a year and a half.
Yes.
So grab the book, put it on your calendar to check back with me on the Linny. That being said, you could use Undine DK.
Yes.
Would be a great substitute. And we do have some of that. But that's just one of the patterns. The other one, this one. Look at the detailing on that.
Oh, I didn't see that. See, I haven't gone through the whole magazine yet. I just fell in love with the cover sweater.
Look at the
cover cardigan.
detailing.
Oh, I like that.
So that's I think it's supposed to be fingering weight, Celsi. But I think she just did, she just did a single strand of mohair at a fingering gauge.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, you could do I like this one. Yes, I know it's black. But look at the drop stitches.
That's different and cute.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cute. Top down raglan. Yeah. So there's lots of really good things in here, and I know you like this cardigan.
Yeah, well, that's the one. That's the one that's on the cover, and I immediately.
It's really cute. And that's I think just a fingering weight. Everything I'll say in here is pretty lightweight.
Well, because it's
spring.
Spring.
But there's also this one, which I just think is cool. Kind of, I don't actually think it's Intarsia, but it kind of gives the Intarsia-y vibes. But this one's also done in a...
That looks like fun.
Yeah, I know. So this is just a good book. Grab
Yes.
it. Highly recommend. And there's recipes, because, food also. Somebody was like, oh, so would you have opened a restaurant if you... I'm like, no, I don't want the work. Yeah. Cardamom bums.
Yes.
Bums.
I think that's
buns. Some sort of lemon vodka prosecco something or other. That sounds delightful. Lemon ricotta ravioli.
Oh my goodness, that sounds...
So
that sounds
you
yummy.
need to get the book.
I think I'll take a copy home with me today.
There you go. So highly recommend grabbing that. We have also right now on the website a zillion books. We do. So we've got back issues of Lina Magazine. We have the Cocoa Knit Sweater Workshop book. So if you really want to start modifying sweaters on your own,
That's an
excellent
excellent. That's an excellent reference book. It's
is.
amazing to me how many times I go back to that book to not have to math the math so much, because there are some schedules and charts and things in there where you can say, okay, my gauge is this. I want to make a sweater that's this big. How many stitches do I cast on? I mean, it's a great resource.
It's a great reference.
Yes.
A resource. We also have, of course, you guys know Pom Pom Magazine has gone out of business. We do have a few of the back issues left. So those can be purchased on the website. We've got books from Lina Publishing. We've got Stephen West painting shawl books. We've got crochet
books.
We've got
several of those.
Yeah, the modern, not your granny square. We've got modern crochet. We've got Molly Mills crochet books. We've got the granny square card decks. We've got the Brooklyn Tweed knit and crochet Afghans book. All sorts of books and magazines and periodicals. So check out the books section on the website if you haven't already, and add to your library, because I enjoy knitting from books. And I know there's a few podcasters out there doing a Knit from Books challenge this year.
Right.
To encourage, we all buy the books and the magazines, but encourage you to actually knit
it
from them, which I think is great. I know Michael at Piece for Piece. I don't know if he's the one who actually started it, but he's definitely
an instigator if he didn't start it
sure.
himself. Yes.
So check that out, and check out his podcast. I like watching it. That's where I get all my fiber tips, honestly.
Okay.
That it is true. That's really the only place besides my first initial little spinning lesson that I got at DFW, all the tips and tricks I've learned, I've gotten from Michael. So thank you, Michael.
Good.
But yeah, now I feel like I'm rambling. So yeah.
Well, I guess it's time to wrap this one up.
I think so.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
The next episode's going to be fun, because I will have just gotten back from New York.
We're going to have lots to talk about on the next episode. We may have to break it up into chapters.
Part 1, Part 2.
Part 1 and Part 2.
Hopefully I have finished my through lines.
I intend to finish a lot of projects, because I've got so many spring and summer projects that I want to cast on and start on, and I will not let myself do that until I finish these. So,
well, and I'm going to have 2 4-hour flights.
Oh, that's cheating. cheating.
And a road trip.
And a road trip where you're not driving.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the best kind.
That's right.
Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it through this episode, I highly recommend that you subscribe. We appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. It does help all of the algorithms, which is math.
I know.
Oh, you were supposed to do math, not mathing.
I know. When we were talking about the steeking, I was supposed to remember to say that steeking is like
math without numbers.
Math without numbers.
And I
And I
still,
don't even remember exactly how we got to that point.
I
but-
don't know how we got to that point, and I still don't know how it makes sense. But now that's the new staying
Yes.
is, oh, that's math without numbers. Oh,
Right.
that's math without numbers. And it's like,
Whatever.
anyway, have a great day, guys. I hope you enjoy. Hope you see us on the next podcast, which will be in about 2 weeks. And
Enjoy
Happy
all your
crafting.
crafting.
yes, bye, guys.
Bye.